All right, let's bring in now Sky News host and Daily Telegraph's National Affairs editor, James Morrow. James, thanks so much for joining us today. Look, what did you make of not only Francesca Albanese and Nasser Mashni on Q&A last night, but again, that performance by Francesca Albanese at the press club today?
Well, look, I thought the performance at the press club, the bits I saw from it, were incredibly smug. I wasn't in the room there today. I was in Sydney. However, I would also be really curious to know who there was applauding her when she gave that really smug answer. And were any of the press corps, any of the press gallery in the number that were, giving her a round of applause for that? Because I think the whole point of her shtick, if you will, which we saw in Q&A last night, and again, today at the press club, is this sort of unanswerable bullying smugness where she declares something to be the case and then doesn't brook anybody saying anything else and challenging her with alternative facts, or as I would call it, reality about Hamas, the nature of Hamas, the nature of Gaza, the nature that Gaza has not been occupied for more than 15 years, and so on and so forth on down the line.
James, I just want to ask you, just before we move off this topic to some of the other top stories around today, over in the UK, their Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, who, by the way, I thought from what I could see from Australia has been doing a brilliant job, trying to come out strongly in support of Israel and the Jewish community. She was sacked by Rishi Sunak after she accused police of being too lenient with pro-Palestinian protesters. I mean, to me, that would seem to be true. She's been replaced by David Cameron. James, what do you think of what's going on in the UK and whether it was fair that she was sacked?
I think it's incredibly depressing, Sherry. I was very glum to hear the news last night when it came across, especially after seeing all of those rallies, all of those marches in the UK, after seeing what had happened to poppy sellers at Victoria Station who had been surrounded by Palestinian thugs, essentially, and then been ushered off by the police and not allowed to, stand up for their country. Suella Braverman called it out, said the Met Police is biased. The Met Police is a biased organization. We know that they're much more concerned about people misgendering people on Twitter than they are about knife crime and property crime in London. That's been known for ages. But the way they've reacted here has been disgraceful. And I think she's also opened up a very necessary and potentially painful, but still necessary debate about multiculturalism and integration, and some of the things that we've seen in some communities that indicate that people are actually what is, I think, the heart of this, which is not just anti-Semitic, but anti-Western.
It's kind of scary when you think about the number of major cities that you would now feel unsafe in as a Jewish person, and it looks like London is one of them. Now, let's have a look at this exclusive story from the Daily Telegraph today, where Anthony Albanese will have flown a distance greater than the Earth to the moon when he lands in the US this week. I think it'll be his 20th international trip in about 18 months. It's for the APEC Forum in San Francisco. The Adelaide Advertiser has put together a map of all the places he's been. Have a look at this. We'll show, yep, there you go. Still no Israel though, James Morrow. Do you think he is travelling too much? And it's not about whether each trip is worthy or not. I'm sure they're all worthy, but it's that there is a cost of living crisis in Australia, and it's this sense that he's not giving enough time and attention to local issues and what's going on here.
Yeah, well, I think if things were going better here at home, Sherry, then I think there'd be less criticism of him. And, for the record, I've been pretty generous about saying, I think any prime minister, any foreign minister, any defense minister of Australia, whatever their party, it's good for them to be out there on the world stage. So I don't really have a huge problem with that. That said, though, what you have pointed out, though, is that, he's very keen to go and, hit Ukraine and places like that. But Israel, well, not so much. It's telling the choices he does make and the choices he doesn't make. And at the same time, again, as you say, we are experiencing a cost of living crisis. So if he's going to be out on the VIP jet, jetting around the world, well, then he has a special obligation to ensure that he's in touch with people here at home. And I'll tell you what, that's not happening. And if you look at the latest Roy Morgan figures that have just dropped a little while ago, he's on a 50-50 two-party preferred now.
Yeah. All right, James Murray, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you on Sky News on Friday night.